Alright, so welcome to Once Human. Today we're doing the Pioneer Shrapnel AK guide, and whether you want to know what you should build on this gun or how to get higher damage, well, today I will try to explain on how Pioneer works. So first of all, Pioneer, how does it work? Everything is in Chinese here, but if you translate it, it means a hit has a 30% probability of triggering a broken bomb. That broken bomb is shrapnel, plus 60% broken bullet damage. That's all you're getting for using this blue Pioneer AK. So if you go to your gear stats and click C, scroll down a little bit, you have shrapnel damage bonus here. Now the reason we have 70 instead of 60 is because I'm wearing this hat, beret. So if you take a look at the passive, it says shrapnel target number +1, which means instead of hitting one shrapnel, we hit 2 shrapnels. As you saw, 2 numbers popped up right there. So that's what this hat does. And plus 10% shrapnel damage is just a bonus for your shrapnel damage. If I unequip this and press C again, you can see shrapnel damage bonus drops to 60. Now first, I'm gonna equip everything so I show you how the damages work. But for example, let's equip just the AK with no modifications on it and no Cradle or Cradle. My AK is calibrated 10 times, by the way, and it's calibrated twice on crit rate. And the reason why you want crit rate for shrapnel so much is because shrapnels will also crit and do more damage, whether it's on the body, whether it's on the head. And shrapnel damage also depends heavily on weapon damage, weak spot damage, crit damage. And of course, the shrapnel damage bonus just adds up even more damage on top of it. So if you click on the weapon you have in your inventory, scroll here to I, press X, and shrapnel says right here, it says special ammo effects, deals 50% of the weapon's damage to a random part of the hit enemy. It could be dealing damage to the head, it could be dealing damage to the torso, or legs or limbs. The thing is, we do not know the base chance for the shrapnel to hit the head, the torso, the limbs, the legs. It's all unknown, because if you go to your inventory and press C, it's not shown in there. And why does that matter? It's because some people might get confused with this modification right here. The chance of shrapnel hitting weak spots is increased by 100%, with weak spot damage plus 25%. Now this mod does not make your shrapnels hit 100% on the head. It just multiplies the chance, whatever the base chance is. So for example, let's say the base chance for shrapnel to hit the head is 10%. So if you have this mod equipped right here, the Shrapnel Carnage, we take that 10% that we have and multiply it by 100%. We basically get 20% to be able to hit the weak spot with shrapnel when shooting the body. Now you can see it hits a lot of headshots when you have the mod on, but if I unequip it, it kind of hits less. So this mod definitely does not make it 100%. We don't know the numbers to be able to calculate this. Nonetheless, this mod is pretty good for shrapnel. Although do note, when you put this mod on a Pioneer, when you shoot in the head, the shrapnel will never hit the weak spot. It only hits these parts right here, but the shrapnel never goes in the head. So you might be wondering, well, it's better to just shoot in the body then, because the shrapnel can hit in the head. And that's sometimes true. For PvP, yeah. For PvE, I don't know. Personally, I aim for the head in PvE all the time and rely more on the weak spot damage rather than the shrapnel damage. But if you're not using this gun and using, let's say, a different gun, which could be this Last Valor, that might be different for this gun. But anyways, this mod would be good for PvP, but not for PvE for me. I would rather use a blue mod that gives you more weapon damage because again, shrapnel is based heavily on weapon damage. So let me unequip this mod right now. So for example, let's say we do 337 damage. You saw that 270 pop up there. So we take that 337, remove the 50% of it, we get 168.5, which is 169. Then we open our inventory. Let's see what the damage bonus for shrapnel is. It's 60%, so we do plus 60%, and we get the final number for shrapnel damage, 270, which is 269.6. And obviously, crit damage and weak spot damage is calculated the same way. The same thing happens to weak spot and crit damage. So let's try to crit with a shrapnel. We did 440 there. So for example, we're doing 337 damage, right? We do plus 63.2%. We get this number. We do minus 50%, and then you do 60%, you get 439.9, blah, 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 basically 440. And that's exactly how much our shrapnel did to the head. If you take a look again, 440 right there. So you do the same thing with crit damage as well. As you can see, the crit damage was 363. Our AK does 337. So just do 337 minus 50% because shrapnel does only 50% damage. You do plus 60% because of the shrapnel damage bonus. If we take a look here, 60% bonus. And crit damage plus 34.5 and 362 crit damage. So that's how the damage for shrapnel works. Now let me equip my armor back. For Cradle, I use Rifle Amplify, and of course, you want to have this definitely in your Cradle. Obviously, how without it? You want to have these two for more shrapnel damage upon a weak spot hit with special ammo. Base damage multiplier plus 25% for 3 seconds. Basically, when your shrapnel hits a weak spot, you're gonna get more damage. Upon a kill with special ammo effects, bounce and shrapnel, weapon damage plus 30% for 3 seconds. So when you kill an enemy with a shrapnel, not when you shoot, but when the shrapnel kills the enemy, you gain more damage. These ones do not apply for shrapnel. Basically, these 3 ones is what gives you damage for shrapnel. There's also another mod, which is tactical combo, damage plus 25% for 9 seconds if the mag is over half full after a kill. Otherwise, weapon switching speed for 30% for 9 seconds. You want this. Obviously, if you kill an enemy before you reach the half of the mag, you will gain 25% damage. This is good for PVE. I'm not sure if this works for PvP, but you probably, if you kill a player and your mag is more than half, you will get more damage. Then the other stats could be anything. Let's say medicine cooldown, sniper if you're using that, maybe you're using shotgun, I don't know, but could be basically anything to fill up these slots. Now there's this one, elemental sense, which is plus 30% damage for blast and shock damage. Now, why you could use this? Because it gives blast damage. And if you put that on there, there's actually a mod for shrapnel on the mask. Is this mod right here. The 20th shrapnel is explosive with base damage plus 200% and guaranteed crit hit. You could use this since it says it's an explosive. I'm assuming that would be blast damage, which is this right here. So you could use that mod and use that Cradle perk as well. But what I'm really using is weak spot damage for PvE on my mask. I am using weak spot damage precise strike on my helmet. Hitting weak spots grants plus 12% weak spot damage for 3 seconds, up to 3 stacks. And that could stack up to 36%. Obviously, if you do first 3 shots in the head, boom, 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 your weak spot damage increases. You can see right here. And it just drops. So it's 120. If we shoot 3 times again, it just goes to 156, which is the max. And of course, what you want to go for the other stats is magazine capacity, crit damage, weapon damage, max HP. I prefer max HP because I like to PvP and I like to have a lot of HP. These mods right now are meant only for PvE. I haven't got good mods for the mask yet, but basically I soloed Leah Lab with weak spot damage 18% on this one, reload speed and weak spot damage plus 9. On gloves, I used weak spot damage 30%. And magazine capacity 10%. The other ones are not that great. We got a little bit of crit damage, but that's about it. Basically, if you're using shrapnel, you just want to have weak spot damage. You want to have weapon damage, and crit rate. And you have to mix it up to get around 30% crit rate or 40% crit rate. Now, of course, you could use a blue mod to get more crit rate right here. And that would be 27% crit rate if, of course, I put the crit rate mod on it. You can also put crit rate on the gloves, which is this. And that would be 41% crit rate. Although, as you can see, the stats are not that great. So I'm just sticking with what I have, which is the weak spot damage and magazine capacity. You need to do a lot of grinding to get the perfect stats for this, but once you get that done, it will pay off. For boots, I'm using this covered advance. Taking no damage within 6 seconds grants plus 20% melee, weapon, and status damage for 30 seconds. The effect resets when the duration ends. So basically, even if you get shot, the buff is gonna stay for 30 seconds, and after 30 seconds end, you will have to wait 6 seconds, or you will have to not get damaged for another 6 seconds, and then you will basically get the buff again. So because this gives 20% weapon damage, and it even gives status damage actually, which is kind of nice for other builds, but that's mainly what I'm using. I also, as you can see, have the weapon damage plus 8% on the bottom, so that's plus 28% weapon damage. The magazine capacity is nice, max HP is nice, but these are gray stats. I would need to upgrade this a little bit more to get higher stats, but it's kind of unlucky that the magazine capacity is gray. Now there's another mod, which is this slow and steady, plus 10% melee weapon status damage when HP is above 90%, and you get an additional 10% damage for basically nothing, for just equipping the mod. But you have to be above 90 HP to get that extra 10%. So I'm not using this mod, I'm just using this one because you just get basically free damage after 6 seconds of not taking any damage at all. This works in PVE and PvP, so that's that. Next up is the top, and on the top I just have HP mod for magazine capacity, weapon damage, max HP, and just that's about it. You could also swap it out for weak spot damage, crit damage. It's up to you how you build it. And Lone Wolf Pants, I'm using a bullet siphon. So basically for just equipping this mod, you will get plus 5% damage. Every 5 bullets you shoot, you will get 4% weapon damage, capping at 20%. You will need to shoot 25 bullets to get that 20% weapon damage. I am going to demonstrate now. So now if you take a look at my stats, weapon damage 49%. I have 65 in my mag, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We shot 5 bullets. Our damage went up by 4% because we shot 5 bullets. If I shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, nothing happened. You can see the damage is still 53. But if I shoot one more bullet, the weapon damage goes even higher by another 4%. So basically, every 25 bullets you fire, you will get that plus 20% weapon damage. Alright, that just happened. The dude just teleported in front of me. That's interesting. But anyways, all you can get is plus 20%. We were on 49, now it's on 69%. And as soon as you reload the gun, it's gonna go back to 49%. So as long as you don't reload the gun, this weapon damage stays. This is a great mod. I think for Shrapnel, this is the best mod. I haven't seen a better one. There's this mod, which each crit hit by non-melee weapon grants plus 5% crit damage, up to 45%. The effect is removed upon the next reload. This probably would be great on the Last Valor, but not Pioneer. It's basically almost the same as Bullet Siphon, but instead you need to crit hit. So let me equip the mod. And as you can see, my crit damage is 51.3. So if I shoot, we did a crit hit with Shrapnel, but the crit damage did not increase. That's because Shrapnel does not increase it. You have to hit it with your bullet, not Shrapnel. So we did a crit hit right there. As you can see, our crit damage rised up by 5% because of that crit hit. So if I just spam my AK, we got 66.3. And that's how it works. It will cap out at 45%. Now, obviously, you would want crit rate for this because the more crit rate, the easier to get that crit damage up. But I'm not using this mod. I just have it saved up. Maybe eventually I'll use it. For now, I'm sticking with this weapon damage mod. So that's about it for mods. Again, you want to have magazine capacity because magazine capacity, the more you have, the more damage you're going to do, obviously. Because if you take a look at the Cradle perk right here, Rifle Amplify, dealing any damage with Assault Rifle grants rifle damage plus 1%. Reload speed plus 1, up to 20 stacks until the next reload. So you can get up to plus 20% damage with this thing. Now let me reload my gun. Every time you reload, the buff is back to 0, so you would have to shoot again. And on the bottom of the left of the health bar, you can see it's on 5. If I shoot once, it goes to 6. If I shoot again, it goes to 7, 8. But instead of 8 now, it went to 10. And because of that, the reason why it went to 10 is because the Shrapnel actually did hit as well. So if Shrapnel hits, it will also count for the perk. And as you can see, since I'm wearing this helmet, we're doing 2 numbers of Shrapnel. So it also counts as like 2 hits for this perk, which is nice. So basically, you will have to hit less bullets because you're using Shrapnel, and you're gonna get that 20% damage bonus in like 8 to 10 bullets. Depends on how lucky you are with your Shrapnel procs. So that's really it for the mods. You just wanna get weapon damage, weak spot, crit rate, and your Shrapnel is gonna be beast damage. Now I'm gonna put a sheet on the screen where you can get these mods from. Basically, hard mode will drop gold mods, so for the head and chest, you need to do Silo Terra. For mask and boots, you need to do hard mode, Silo X1. Basically, just look at the sheet and look at the right corner, whether it says head, mask, gloves, pants. That's what the mod is dropped for. So if you want to get helmet mods, you will have to do Silo Terra. And yeah, just look at the sheets. Now, obviously, not all mods are listed there, but mostly I got these mods, the purple ones and the gold ones, from doing Mens de Warren. I basically killed the level 60 boss, so I wasn't really doing hard mode to get these mods. Now what I'm using for the armor is, you could actually use Falcon, which is this armor set right here, Falcon. You could get 4 parts of it, and when you have 4 parts of it, when stamina is over 90, crit rate plus 10%, crit damage plus 20%, and PSI intensity plus 20%. The PSI intensity does not matter for Shrapnel. The only things that matter is weapon damage, crit rate, weak spot, crit damage, and weapon damage bonus. The reason I'm not using the full set of Falcon is because I'm wearing the mask for max HP, which is 1 part only, Falcon gloves for torso damage reduction, which is only 1 part, agent shoes for stability, max HP, 2 parts of it, and lone wolf bands for movement speed. Obviously, I could swap this with blast pants or something, which are these, and that will give me plus 12% torso damage reduction. Or I can use tornado pants, which has 1267 HP, compared to blast pants has only 1097 HP. So obviously legendary armor will give you more HP. You just have to look, but if you take a look at these Lone Wolf bands, I'm getting a 979 HP, so I'm actually losing a lot of HP here. But the 10% movement speed kind of helps a little bit, so I'm just using that. Maybe eventually I'll swap it out if it doesn't work out, but for now, it's been nice to be zooming across the whole map with these, so that's why I'm sticking with those. Obviously, you're not going to have this, or maybe you will, because how you get these armors is Wish Machine. So you will need to just click on Echoes from the Rift, and whenever you click here, you go on the top left corner, click here and click on Echoes from the Rift. You can read everything it drops here, everything it gives. This is for legendary weapons right here. This is for legendary gear, and if you scroll down, this is for blueprint fragments. You can either get a full blueprint or you can either get a blueprint fragment. If you get a blueprint fragment, that sucks. But this is where I got my Lone Wolf pants from. I forgot to even mention, to get this Pioneer AK, the blue AK, basically you can get it easily from just doing the puzzle in the Hearst Industries here. And you go up the elevator, you loot the mystical crate there, the red crate, and you will get your blue Pioneer AK there. And obviously I got the blueprints from just rolling Echoes from the Rift here. And there was a category before that, which was the long awaited. And as you can see, you can get this AK blueprint here. So I got all these AK blueprints. We go into blueprints, AK, right click, you go to enhancement, and you just yoink all of these blueprints in here, upgrade your AK to 4-star, and there you go. Max damage. Enjoy your blue AK. And this helmet, we got it from also looting mystical red crates or mysterious treasures. All you need to do is just loot all of the POIs on the map to get these blueprints. I will put a map in the description of all locations for the mystical red crates, so if you want to look for that, it's going to be there. And of course, if you want even more damage, you can go and find this assorted canned fruit. It's going to give you weak spot damage plus 25% when sanity is above 80%. And the way you get this recipe is you open the map. Again, the recipes are going to be in the description. Just use the map I'm going to give you and provide you. But I got this blueprint. I got the recipe from this spot right here. So if you just go there in the restaurant, you'll find a recipe of the assorted canned fruit. And you need deviated beets, and these are obtained by using a fertilizer, which is in memetics. Go here, scroll down, fertilizer, basically learn to craft different types of fertilizers. This will give you fertilizer that will rewrite the plant's genome, increasing the chance that will become deviated. So you will need to get fertilizer, you will need to get a compost bin, make the fertilizer there, and then after you do that, you craft the fertilizer after you learn the memetic, and then you plant the beets on the box, and then use the fertilizer. Make sure you use it with the fertilizer and you will get deviated beet. You can also find the deviated beet pre-spawned on polluted areas somewhere in the map. I don't know where. I don't even know myself. Haven't found it, but I do know that it's there. And coconut is obtained from chopping palms or banana trees, which you can also find exactly over here, or maybe even at the lighthouse, basically on the shores. If you see a palm with the coconut on it, well, chop it down, brother. And lastly, I know this is kind of off topic, but I just wanted to tell you that there's food buffs that can increase your damage for weak spot or maybe even weapon damage. There's also a food buff that can give you weapon damage. I don't have it, but it's like, I'm too lazy to look for it, but basically it's like special bread. You eat it and you get plus 10% weapon damage bonus or something like that. And the last food buff for Shrapnel would be the canned meat, which is this. Shrapnel damage plus 10%. So just a bonus for your shrapnel damage, which would apply to this shrapnel damage bonus. It would be 80% if you ate that food buff. But that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if this guide helped you or not. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you want to see for the next Once Human video. Take care and peace out.